I let you judge Pokemon Drag Race, but
Why is she green?
at the start of March, I pulled together a cast of 12 green shiny Pokemon, and then I put them into a RuPaul's Drag Race season. Except, instead of using simulators or judging them myself, I put them into YouTube polls for you to judge. For each episode, I nominated the tops and the bottoms of the week, and then I gave them to you to decide who would win the challenge and who would be. If you enjoy this type of video, please be sure to leave a like. And you can even subscribe, especially if you want to get involved with voting in the next season. That way you can be sure that you'll never miss a poll and that you'll never miss a recap video. Also, if you're wondering why I'm not green, I have an emo night show, so I gotta be there in an hour. Now, without further ado, let us find out who you think is most deserving of the green crown. Alright, so let's start with this cast reveal as we usually do. I have to be completely honest with you guys though. The cast for this season is just gonna be a bunch of greeninas who I liked, and that's gonna be their reasoning. I have divided them into like release date order. So yeah, let's just look into them. So first, we've got Gen 1, we've got Tangela, Chansey, and Vileplume, who are all excellent greeninas, who I think are all very girly pop. Tangela, of course, had to be here because Shiny Tangela was the first ever shiny I ever got in Pokemon. It was Pokemon Soul Silver at the base of Mount Silver. She showed up, I was on my DS, I was like, oh my god, and I named her Green Beans. So that right there, that's Green Beans. And then Chansey is a girly pop, and Vileplume is a girly pop. I thought they were cute, and I wanted to put them on, so here they are. Gen 2, we've got Hoppip, Espeon, and Marill, which I think are all great choices. When I think of weird green shinies, the first one I think of is Espeon as like one of the iconic what the hell green shinies, so she had to be here. Hoppip's green shiny is excellent because she takes the colors of Skiploom, and I love that for her. And shiny green Marill is super cute. We've got some Gen 3 reps. We've got Masquerain, Huntail, and Salamence. Here's where we got to get some of the goobies. Huntail was a choice. I always had to pick some weirdo to be in the season, and Huntail was one of those. Salamence initially was not on the cast, and then when I looked and saw Salamence, I was like, wait, I kind of like green Salamence, and the whole vibe of Salamence fit better with the season. And then Masquerain, I love Masquerain. I used Masquerain on my team in the DLC for Scarlet Violet, and she deserves more love, so she's here too. And then finally, our final three, Gen 5, 7, and 8. We've got Sigilif from Gen 5 as another goober rep, Lurantis from Gen 7, because Lurantis is such a good green shiny, and a Diva House down boots. Oh, I really like Lurantis. I also used a Lurantis recently, a few months back, on a Pokemon series I did on Twitch. And then shiny Flapple. Ooh, I picked Flapple out of the Applin line because I feel like Flapple had the best green representation on their shiny. Of course, Appleton's hat becomes green, but they were already pretty green. And then Hydrapple's apple becomes like gold, like a caramel apple. So we picked Flapple for that reason. I love when thematic shinies happen. Like, oh, you're an apple, you're a red apple, now you're a green apple. Cute. So this is our full cast here. You can see them all together. You can see the color immersion. Also, once again, we did some top 4 predictions. I get my friend Opal Crumble to help me with some of the judging on these seasons when he's available and when I'm like, ah. So I asked him what his top 4 was, and let me show them to you. So I'm purple, Opal's blue. We both expected Espeon and Lurantis to be a top 4, but then I had Vileplume and Salamence, and then Opal chose Chansey and Sigilif. Vileplume is a girly, and that's kind of why Opal chose Chansey. And then we both wanted like kind of a weird wild card pick, for which I chose Salamence and he chose Sigilif. Also, before I get into the actual season, I want to tell you all about the twist of the season. So pre-season, I spun the Get Lucky wheel, and it landed on one of the Pokemon to decide who was gonna have like a secret bonus chance in the competition. It's like the predetermined chocolate bar kind of thing. However, that twist ended up getting cut because of the events of the season, and for time's sake and for fun's sake, I removed it. I was gonna save this for later, but I'm just gonna tell you right now who that wheel landed on because some of y'all were asking. I'm like, I'll put it in the video. It was Sigilif. It was Sigilif who got lucky, and as the season goes, you'll see why that twist got cut and what happened there. So let's talk about episode 1, which was the Drag Pokeathlon. Think like the Drag Olympics challenge that was on season 11. So the Pokeathlon was a thing in the Johto region, and it was something that Pokemon could showcase their speed, power, skill, stamina, and jump. my favorite skill, jump. That's what they would do in the Pokeathlon. There'd be a bunch of different mini games. So I want to do like a big premier Pokeathlon drag challenge based on that. Here are our tops and bottoms nominations. So our top 4 is Salamence, Espeon, Lurantis, and Flapple. And our bottom 4 are Vileplume, Chansey, Tangela, and Huntdale. Espeon's a cat, cats are acrobatic. Lurantis is a mover in my brain and can perform the house down. Salamence is of course like a powerhouse. And then Flapple can fly. Flapple is a dragon. I feel like Flapple has the power behind them that they would need to do well in a challenge like this. But it doesn't matter what I think, it matters what you think for the tops. So, Flapple. Flapple is safe. Flapple got the least amount of votes for the win this episode, so they have been demoted to the gray category and they will be safe. And the winner is Lurantis. I agree with you. Lurantis super beat this out. It was like a washout for Lurantis to win this challenge, which I think makes sense considering that it's based off of the Drag Olympics, and the Drag Olympics was very athletic. But Espeon and Salamence both get their high placements. I was very excited for Salamence to get a high placement episode 1 because I was worried about them being like an early out because they're kind of like an oddball pick for a drag race season, but I love to see them. And then for our bottoms, this is like, I knew Chansey and Tangela were going to be at risk for this challenge when I started doing the judging for this, so that happened. Really, it came down to like Huntdale and Vileplume just seemed like the least good out of everyone who was left on the cast. It was a really close race in the voting between Vileplume and Huntdale as to who would be safe and who would be low. Ultimately, Vileplume was declared as safe and Huntdale got that low placement, which was tea. I probably should have just given them both the low placements because of how close it was, or given them both the safe placements, but it's fine, I was stirring up drama. But that does, of course, mean Chansey and Tangela are our first bottoms of the season, and we'll be going into a lip sync for the elimination. Chansey and Tangela find themselves on the stage lip syncing to Green Light by Kylie Minogue. And who wins? Chansey, 71% to Tangela's 29%. I agree. I'm sad though. Chansey's an icon. She's an icon of the girly pop universe. But Tangela's my first ever shiny Miss Green Beans first out. Oh, it's fine. Let's talk Untucked. I've officially integrated Untucked into the video format now because I do some recaps at the end of every episode in the YouTube polls where we talk about the drama that happened in this stuff and contestants' feelings. And I never really knew where to put that in the video typically, so now I can talk about it now. Lurantis, very excited with her win. She's like, yes, I'm proving to the girls that I'm more than just fashion. She feels vindicated. Salamence and Espeon, both happy with their high placements. No one's surprised by Espeon. She came into the competition with a big name, of course, being an evolution, and Sylveon being a big moment of the previous season. She was like feeling the pressure that she was gonna have to live up to Sylveon, and she's happy that she's starting off on the right foot with that. And Salamence is like, thank God I got a high placement, because Salamence also is coming to this knowing that he is very different from everyone else in this cast. He was happy he was able to show off his strengths and get some good critiques, so yeah. Huntdale and Vileplume, they're about to get into like a literal fist fight, even though neither of them can make fists, and Huntdale doesn't even have hands. But they are arguing over who's gonna be safe and who's gonna be low, and they actually both believe that they are safe, despite legally Huntdale being low. So they're fighting with each other. They're off to a bad start, which is cute. But Meryl's like, hey, you guys need to shut up, because you're not even in the bottom 2. Both Chansey and Tangela, though, they're feeling defeated, but they vow to each other. They vow that they're gonna both do their best no matter what happens, and they're gonna be happy with who wins, because they're besties, apparently. So they lip sync as they did, but you wouldn't believe this. Tangela's feet got tangled in her vines mid-performance and she fell. And she wasn't able to recover from that flub, which of course is why it was a bigger blowout for Chansey to win. But as Tangela is leaving, Chansey stops her and gives her a nutritious egg to help her feel better on the way out. This is so dumb. Okay, episode 2, we've got the catch game, which is a spin on the snatch game, but Pokemon themed. And instead of looking for love and trying to find the perfect match for them, they are doing a improv comedy about why they are the perfect catch for our special guest trainers, Nimona and Leon. Top 4 is Chansey, Meryl, Huntdale, and Flapple, and our bottom 4 is Espeon, Salamence, Sigilyph, and Lurantis, all of which I think would struggle with comedy Who's safe though? Huntail. Y'all are not Team Huntail this season, it seems. It is what it is because I can respect Chansey, Meryl, and Flapple as a top 3 for the catch game. It feels right to me. Ultimately though, Flapple was declared the winner by you, and I think that's great for her. However, I think the curse has been debunked, but there was a bit of a Snatch Game curse going on with the winners then getting eliminated right after the Snatch Game in this series, but it's kind of been debunked in later seasons, which is nice, so maybe she'll be safe next week. And then Chansey and Meryl, they're high. Our bottom 4, Espeon, Salamence, Sigilif, Lurantis. You chose to save one of them, and it was Lurantis, and you guys kind of ate me up with this because I did not think about the fact that Lurantis is literally like a plant disguising as a bug. So kind of like when I put Hisuian Zoroark low for the catch game or snatch game, and y'all were like, they literally impersonate for a living. Same with Lurantis. So y'all ate me up with that, which does mean Espeon, Salamence, and Sigilif are our bottom 3, but Espeon was safe, which I think is a result of people like Espeon rather than people thinking Espeon would actually do the best in this challenge. I think Salamence or Sigilif would both do better than Espeon in this challenge personally, but that's okay. Salamence and Sigilif move into a lip sync to Lucky by Lucky Twice, which is a song that fits neither of them at all. In fact, I don't think either of them would do well at the song. Sigilif does beat out Salamence with 63% to 37%, which with it being such a poppy, silly song, Sigilif can flap around and that's fine. Salamence, Salamence is way too edgy for this song, way too cool, way too tough, I feel like, to do a good job at this song, so it makes sense. However, it did break my heart, because of course I saw Salamence in that top 4, and he just got his high placement the week before, and I was like, no! Chansey is feeling very grateful that she was able to showcase that she is not just a nice girly, she's also talented, and she deserves to be there after lip syncing the week before. Flapple is very excited on the win, and Chansey's like, congratulations, you did such a good job. And Meryl is not surprised that they're in the top, and he's like, yeah, I did so good, and I almost won. Like, I was basically like second, they were actually third place in the voting, but they're like, I basically won. But internally, he's kind of like feeling a little bit insecure because he is not a fully evolved Pokemon, and he's worried that the rest of the class is like looking down on him because he has less experience, because he's a baby, but like he's not a baby, he's fine. So he's like kind of compensating for it. The bottom was crazy though. Of course, I said just before that like, oh yeah, like I think Espeon would do worse than Salamence and Sigilif. However, that was not the case for y'all. Salamence was a very clear bottom placement, but this was actually almost a 3-way lip sync because of how close Sigi and Espeon were. At the moment it counted, it was a bottom 2, and that was fine, and Sigilif won. Salamence devastated. Oh, his heart is broken. The cast's heart is broken because they all really liked Salamance's vibe and was really hoping for him to do like decently well. Of course, they're all like, no, well, we want to win, but we don't want you to go home early because you're cool and you're different and you bring something different to the stage. So they all run up and hug him, and Chansey gives him one of her nutritious eggs. Episode 3 is the Fire Red Leaf Green, the Rusical. We had some protagonists, and then we had all the gym leaders, and I partnered up Pokemon with the person I thought would fit them the best. Here's our tops and bottoms. You'll notice there's only a bottom 3, and this is because I genuinely couldn't pick someone else to be in the bottom. No one else felt correct, and so I just went, it's fine. We're just gonna do a bottom 3, which is maybe rigging on my part, and I'll admit that to you. Our top 4 is Espeon as Sabrina, Vileplume as Erica, Masquerain as Koga, and Hoppip as Green, or Leaf. That's Green, but technically in Leaf Green, the protagonist is Leaf. And then their bottoms are the 3 that kind of got left over with the gym leaders who had nowhere to go. So Chansey as Blaine, because they're both bald. Flapple for Brock, and then Huntail as Lieutenant Surge. That happened because imagining Huntail as Lieutenant Surge was just really funny. Hoppip does get demoted to safe, which is fine because we love to see Vileplume and Masquerain doing well in the competition. And of course, Espeon as Sabrina is going to be like a hit. Vileplume as Erica is going to be the winner of this challenge because Vileplume is literally Erica's ace, so it made so much sense. But Espeon and Masquerain both get their high placements, which is great. Our bottom 3, y'all agreed that Huntail as Lieutenant Surge is iconic. And that does unfortunately mean that Chansey and Flapple are our bottom 2 though, which, ow, you know? Here are the other 3's roles though, just so you guys can see this. Lurantis was Red, Sigilif was Giovanni, and Meryl was Misty, which I think you all might understand the dilemma I was in about the tops and bottoms, because I don't see Sigilif doing bad in a Rusical. She can move, and Giovanni's a good cast for him. Meryl as Misty are both water, and I think that's cute. And Lurantis as Red, I was like, maybe, but I just don't see Lurantis doing bad in a Rusical either. So I was like, it's fine. Like, the other three were so much more obviously worse picks for the Pokemon, if that makes sense. I guess if I looked at this now and I chose someone to be lower here, I would put Sigilif in the bottom 4 if I absolutely had to, but I really, back in that week, whatever day that was, I truly didn't believe it, so they're safe. Chansey and Flapple lip sync to Greenlight by Lord. Flapple just won the catch game and it's in the bottom, so maybe the curse is like a little bit back, but Chansey has been in the bottom before, which of course means she's going home with 33% to Flapple's 67%. It's very sad because we love Chansey, we love Sweet Baby Chicken, but it was her time. So in Untucked, Vileplume and Espeon are discussing how it's a tight race between the two of them, but it makes sense that Vileplume won. Espeon, of course, really wanted the win, but like, she's not showing that to everyone else. She's like, it's fine, like, don't worry, like, I'm proud of you. Inside, she's like, I wanted that win. And most importantly, she's happy that she is like back in the top, because the previous episode, she was almost in the bottom 2, and she was feeling insecure that she wasn't going to live up to Sylveon's name, and now she's back in the top and almost got a win. So she's like, okay. Flapple was gunning for that lip sync win though, of course, just after getting the win. He's like, I can't go home. Chansey though, she's defeated. This is her second time lip syncing in the first 3 episodes. She's questioning whether Tangela should have stayed over her. She's also like, Flapple deserves to be here more than I do at this point. So she puts on a fine performance, but throws a little bit for Flapple to win. Everyone's sad that Chansey's gone. And as she's leaving, she stops and visits every single other Pokemon left on the cast and gives them a nutritious egg for them to have when they get eliminated. And that's the end of the nutritious egg storyline that I tried to put in this series. Episode 4, Safari Zone commercials. So there are 3 Safari Zones. There's one in Kanto, one in Johto, and one in Hoenn. In Sinnoh, there's the Great Marsh, but that's different. So for this, I created teams, and I didn't actually randomize this because it just plot-wise, this made sense. The Johto girlies would go together to do Johto. The Hoenn girlies would go together, and then Sigilif has Hoenn Pokemon energy, and the Kanto team is all grass types then. So this just worked out really nicely. I didn't randomize this because I liked this for the plot, and they all had to write, direct, and act in commercials for the different Safari Zones. This is going to be a top team and a bottom team. It's not going to be a team win for this though. This is how the voting went. Johto was our top team with 44%. Kanto got 36%, so they're safe. And then Hoenn got 20% and are in the bottom. Which kind of is crazy to me because Hoenn's team feels like they would be good at comedy stuff. I think in terms of Pokemon on the team, it's a less cohesive bunch maybe. And I think they're kind of Pokemon that people don't care about as much as people care about like Espeon, Hoppip, Meryl, Lurantis, Vileplume. Flapple got a win, you know? It's kind of like the outcast team. That's what Hoenn kind of feels like right now to me. Our top 3, Espeon, Hoppip, and Meryl, all vying for that win. But you all gave it to Hoppip with 44% of you picking her for her win. So she gets her first win of the season here, which is very cute because she's a baby girl getting a win. We love to see that. Our bottom 3, Team Hoenn, is Sigilif, Huntail, and Masquerain. And y'all put Masquerain overwhelmingly as safe here. So she's still gonna get a low placement, but 56% of you were like, she is not lip syncing. So Sigilif and Huntail find themselves lip syncing against each other to Butterfly by Marina, which everyone was like, oh my god, Masquerain should have been here for this because she would have eaten this up. And I agree with you. Sigilif, however, is butterfly-like and does completely decimate Huntail in this lip sync with 72% to 28%. I think at this point kind of made sense. Huntail hadn't done particularly well in the competition so far. This is Sigilif's second time in the bottom though, but clearly they're a lip sync assassin, so that's Stunalina for them. And this is where you'll start noticing why maybe I didn't want to do that lucky wheel twist anymore, because Sigilif has survived the bottom twice already. I was really hopeful that Sigilif would have lost to Salamence, and it would have played out then, and that would have been great, but it's fine. The season had other things in mind, which is not that, which we will see very soon. Let's talk Untucked though. Let's talk about the behind the scenes drama. Team Johto, Espeon, Meryl, and Hoppip was the top 3. Hoppip got that win. Her bestie Meryl is super happy for her. Like, Meryl's like, I'm so proud of you, you did so good. I kind of wanted that win though, because I really want to win, and I should have won catch game, but it's fine. But But Hoppip knows that Meryl can get a little jealous, and it's okay because they communicate it well with each other. Team Hoenn. They're gagged. They're like, we should not have been in the bottom. Huntail was like, I'm a comedy performer, so how am I in the bottom on a comedy acting challenge? And he's getting real mad. He's getting real mad that he's been not doing well in this competition. And he like lashes out at Masquerain and Sigilif being like, this is your fault. You guys are dragging me down. You guys are gonna cause me to go home. And Masquerain's like, you're controlling. We had no choice what to do. We had to follow your lead. And Sigilif is like, yeah. Masquerain's like, right, but chill out, both of you, because this is kind of crazy. And Vileplume's sitting there sipping her Sunny D in the corner, and she's like, oh my god, this is crazy, because I also hate Huntail, so maybe me and Masquerain are gonna be besties after this. Episode 5 is the Friend Ball, which I was so excited for as a concept. It's the Friend Ball because the Friend Ball, she's green. Why is she green? So for this episode, the Pokemon are partnering up with their best friend in the competition, so this isn't randomly done. I rigged this to be teamed in a way that made sense to me. They have to make each other over into their drag, kind of like the season 13 makeover, but then they also have to do a final runway that's a joint runway between the two of them that exemplifies their friendship with each other. So it's very complicated. I don't know how they would do this on a real season of Drag Race, but this is fake, so it's fine. Here are our teams. The besties Hoppip and Meryl are of course together. Espeon and Sigilif are a little psychic duo. Masquerain and Vileplume just bonded over the fact that they both hate Huntail. And then Lurantis and Flapple are both planty greeninas who are like maybe falling in love a little bit. I don't know. You ask them, don't ask me. That's their business, not mine. For this, there's a winning team and a bottom team. And this is how y'all voted. Flapple and Lurantis are the winning team overwhelmingly with 39%. Don't ask me why these numbers don't add up. Ask YouTube polls. That's not on me. That's not my job. Flapple and Lurantis both get their second win. And then Masquerain and Vileplume find themselves in the bottom 2. Initially, I was gonna have it be like a win, high, low, bottom. But because Espeon and Sigi and then Meryl and Hoppip tied with 25% each, I was like, I don't feel right giving them all high placements because it's all like 25% is just a quarter of the voting. If they were above 25%, I'd be like, okay, they can get high placements. But it was just perfectly even. So I'm like, we'll just put them safe. Masquerain and Vileplume lip sync to Green Light by Beyonce. Did you know there's a billion songs called Green Light? I didn't know that. I just wanted green themed songs and I just found Green Light over and over again. So we're doing Green Light by Beyonce. And you ready for this? 50-50, Shantae, you both stay. This was the moment where the lucky wheel was removed from the season. And instead, I decided to give you all a double Shantae between Masquerain and Vileplume. Part of it also being, why use a silly random twist to save someone when the votes are showing that there is someone who deserves to be saved and a group that deserves to be saved. So that's really cute, especially for a friend-themed episode. We're skipping Untucked for this episode because basically everything that was important from Untucked I talked about already. Lurantis and Flapple, they're falling in love. Masquerain and Vileplume, they have the power of friendship. That's all you really need to know about this. So let's just get into episode 6, which is the Faves Icons girl groups. We've got Team Reuniclus and Team Lilligant. So for this challenge, think like All-Stars 4. There was the Hanny girl group challenge where they had to do songs that featured Stacey Ling Matthews as part of their girl group and like highlighted her, but she wasn't allowed to like give insight. So Reuniclus and Lilligant are Stacey Ling Matthews in this challenge for their teams. I actually did these teams random, which was really fun because the best friend duos stuck together. So Team Reuniclus is Flapple and Lurantis and Espeon and Sigilif, and you all decided that Team Reuniclus would win, which gagged me. I thought that the girl group team win would go to that Planty Diva team. I bet Lilligant's annoyed that her team didn't win, but that's fine. Reuniclus was like, woo, we did something fun. So, top 4, here's Team Reuniclus. Only one can win. The rest will still get their high placements though. And the winner came down to Espeon or Lurantis. It was very close. However, ultimately, Lurantis got her third win with 44%, overtaking Flapple's little 4% on the side there. No one thought Flapple should win. And Espeon's like, oh my god. Now, I know I developed the Untucked screen to talk about that later, but we're going to talk about it here a bit. Espeon is starting to get annoyed that she's not getting her wins and that Lurantis keeps kind of overshadowing her. She's like, I think I should get my win. Lurantis has to. I don't have a win yet. This is my time. They can spread out the wins nicely. It'll be cool. However, Lurantis gets the third win. Espeon's face cracked. Lurantis is very cocky and untucked as she's gloating about her third win. Flapple's like, hell yeah, you're so hot, and yeah. And Sigilif and Espeon are like really annoyed because they're like, we are part of your team, and you're absolutely like belittling us right now. And they're getting frustrated at their behavior. That's what's happening with them. Now, over on Team Lilligant, we've got to get a bottom 2 here. And wouldn't you know, we got another besties lip sync between Hoppip and Meryl, who were the very clear worst in this challenge. They moved to a whole different section of the workroom because they don't want to listen to Team Reuniclus. They're all being annoying. And Hoppip and Meryl are struggling because they love each other, they're besties, they don't want to send each other home. And Vileplume and Masquerain are like, no, like, listen, we were besties in the bottom last week and we survived. So, like, believe in yourselves, believe in each other, and you can do it. And Meryl's like, shut up. Like, you guys used the double Shantae of the season. We're not getting another one. It's not happening. So, we get back to the main stage for the lip sync between Meryl and Hoppip. And tensions are very high. Everyone's mad at each other. Everyone's pissed. The besties lip sync. It's very Jujubee Raven. Neither of them want to send each other home. It's very sad. And y'all did another 50-50. Y'all did another 50-50. Why did y'all do another 50-50? I'm just asking for a friend. I'm gonna have to take your rights away soon. I'm gonna have to just start judging these myself. In the comments, everyone's like, huh, disqualify someone. Ooh, someone broke the rules. A lot of people were saying Lurantis, which I was like, no way. Lurantis is like the front runner. We can't just do that. I know that people are like trying to get the front runner out so someone else has a chance at winning. But I was like, I'll amuse you. You're gonna give me another 50-50? I'll amuse the idea of a disqualification. I'm gonna put all of their names on a wheel, and we're gonna see who the wheel lands on, and whoever it lands on gets eliminated. Let's watch the footage back. We can see what happened. I put every single remaining contestant into this wheel 4 times. So it's very widespread. And I'm gonna spin this wheel, and whoever it lands on is getting disqualified. I'm nervous. No way. No way. No. Oh no! So I'm sure you all heard how gagged and gooped I was. That Lurantis ended up being the one who was disqualified. And then I was like, I have to figure out how to make a story out of this. And in retrospect, maybe it would have been better to make the story like an injury story. Because then it wouldn't have been as like, and it would have been kind of funny. Like, oh my god, she has legs. She could like pop her knee or something. It's fine. Instead, I gave Lurantis a villain arc a little bit of being like cocky and evil and mean, which I regret a little bit. I didn't think about the injury doctor's note thing until after I had already put this all up. What happens in the story of the season is that the judges take a long time deliberating. The air in the room's heavy. Lurantis gets called to the front of the stage, and the judges go, Lurantis, it has come to our attention that you've had a hidden Rotom phone with you throughout this competition. As such, we must ask you to leave the competition. And Lurantis is snatched. She's like, how did someone know I had this phone? I was being very sly, and I was like, I just want to watch YouTube. I just want to watch YouTube at night. I just want to watch Aria Zero Queen on YouTube. Flapple collapses in disbelief. He's heartbroken because that's the love of his life, suddenly going home out of nowhere after winning the challenge. Lurantis leaves. Her exit line is looking at Flapple saying, call me, as like a little joke because of the phone. I thought that was funny. And Espeon's gagged because Espeon's like, that's my biggest competition, who has been stealing all my wins from me. And she's looking around the room being like, who snitched? How did they figure it out? And everyone's gagged, everyone's scooped, everyone's jaws are on the floor, except Sigilif, because Sigilif doesn't have a mouth. But Espeon knows that Sigilif is not shocked. Sigilif is the narc that got Lurantis disqualified. Because Sigilif needed some sort of storyline, so I picked her for that. And I thought it worked with Sigilif being the besties with Espeon. Yeah. So if you all hated this, I'm sorry. Don't 50-50 all the polls, please. Because I'm just going to start making things worse. Episode 7, Secret Rocket, a traitor's parody. Someone's a secret member of Team Rocket. Who could it be? This is like the whole from Canada's Drag Race versus the World Season 2. And if you watch The Traitors, you know what The Traitors is. It's a parody of that. Here are our tops and bottoms. I gave them all trainer classes because that's so fun. Meryl was the tourist. Flapple was the punk guy, Hoppip was the fairy tale girl, and Masquerain was the delinky dude, the delinquent. Espeon was the Duchess, Sigilif was the psychic, and Vileplume was the model. I really kind of did Vileplume dirty here, being like, I was very certain that Vileplume was going to be in the bottom, so I just kind of gave her a throwaway role. But that model also she has a bob, she looks so good, and I couldn't resist a diva. But I did try to give everyone characters that I thought, like, kind of fit their vibe, and that could be, like, good characters for the traitors. You all voted, though. Flapple was voted safe with that punk guy, which I think makes sense in this challenge. I love to see the Hoppip and Meryl in the top 3 now, especially after one of them was gonna go home last episode. And then Masquerain really needed a little boost. She's not been doing well the past few episodes, and it's not really been her fault, because she's been low as a result of the team, but been getting really high votes to keep her out of the lip sync a couple times, so. Meryl finally gets his win as the X and Y tourist, which is great. Bottom 3, y'all save Espeon. putting Vileplume and Sigilif into the bottom 2, which I think at this point in the competition, track record-wise, makes sense. Espeon's been doing well. Vileplume and Sigilif have not. Sigilif has lip-synced 3 times. Sigilif also just, like, had a big storyline. Story-wise, I think it works. Do I think Sigilif would do worse than Espeon? No. Did I initially think I was going to put Sigilif in the top for this episode? Yeah. But I think everyone just was kind of ready for Sigilif to go home. Vileplume and Sigilif, they lip-sync to Green Light by Tate McRae. And Sigilif does go home, but this is a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Y'all teased 50-50 it again. It actually was 50-50 for a while. And you know what I would have done this time if it was a 50-50? It would have been a double sachet. They were both going to go home, and we were just going to skip into the semifinal because I didn't have the patience for them anymore. But it's okay. Vileplume lives to see another day, and Sigilif goes home here because she's played her purpose. She's played her part in the storyline of getting Laurentis eliminated, I guess. Let's talk Untucked. It's been a while since we've seen this Untucked screen. You can see the silhouettes of everyone who has been eliminated. Meryl's so excited that he got his first win. He's so happy. He feels like he's been teased multiple times. And Hoppip, like, she's like, I'd love a second win, but she's like, I want Meryl to win. Bestie Meryl deserves it. And Masquerain is like, I've been on low streak, and those were not my fault. I was dragged down by my team, and now that I'm finally able to be a performer all by myself, I'm in the top. And then for the bottom, Espeon was very nervous that she's gonna have to lip sync for her first time, because comedy is not her strong suit. And yeah, Sigilif gets eliminated. And as they leave, Sigilif is like, Espeon, I believe in you. You're my winner. Which is cute. A little nice way to wrap up that friendship between Sigilif and Espeon, which felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. But you gotta do what you gotta do sometimes in these plots. Episode 8, Gym Time! We're doing interior design, where our Pokemon are randomly divided into teams, and they have to create a Pokemon gym with a theme. They have to decorate it. They have to pick a type. And here's the teams. Vileplume and Flapple made a grass gym that was Enchanted Fairy Tale Forest themed, which I thought was cute because Flapple's like could be like the dragon of the fairy tale, and Vileplume isn't actually like a whimsical, non-existent magic flower. Rafflesia? I don't know how to say it. I only know it because of Animal Crossing. We have a normal gym from Espeon and Hoppip, which is cute because Espeon has normal roots from being an Eevee once in her life, and Hoppip is also a cat, so the two of them are going to do a normal type cat cafe themed gym, which can feature like Skitty and Delcatty, which is cute. Skitty from Aria's Faves, season 2 of You Judge Pokemon Drag Race. She can make a comeback. And then Masquerain and Meryl do a water rainy day themed gym. Masquerain, of course, isn't a water type anymore, but she has roots in water types with Surskit, and Meryl is a water type, and it can be a whole rain gym. You all voted. Cat Cafe normal gym won, which I agree with. I think that Espeon and Hoppip would do a very good job at this challenge. I think their talents would complement each other. There were people who were saying, well, like, they don't give normal type. Everyone else gives the type that they have. But that's kind of why I liked the normal gym for them. I kind of wanted to give everyone types that weren't based off of the type of Pokemon they are, because I thought that would be kind of obvious and boring. So when I saw the opportunity to do a normal Cat Cafe gym with Espeon and Hoppip, I'm like, that's so fun and cute. And then for the water gym for Meryl and Masquerain, I was like, that's fun, because like Masquerain used to be a water type, so it's a callback to that. And honestly, the grass type gym for Vileplume and Flapple, I thought was really boring. I thought it was so boring, and I just couldn't come up with anything more creative. So I was like, it's fine, I guess. Like, it makes sense. So like, I get the criticism that they're not normal types, so how would they do good at that type theme? But I'm happy they got the win here. I gave Vileplume and Flapple a high placement because they got more than 33% of the votes, and then that does leave Masquerain and Meryl in the bottom 2, lip syncing against each other. Both survivors of a double Shantae. One of them's going home here now, and they're lip syncing to Training Session by Dula Peep because Gym Time Training Session, it's so fun. And Meryl stays 55% to Masquerain's 45%. I would have lost my mind if this was a 50-50. This one didn't tease it quite as much as the last one did. But it's a bummer. A lot of y'all were like, Masquerain would do better at this objectively, but I think Masquerain's track record kind of led her astray in the voting here, which, fair enough. This is also Espeon's first win, by the way. I didn't give that as much weight as that should have gotten. Espeon finally gets her first win. She's so excited. Hoppip is super happy getting her second win, and she feels like she's proven herself since that double Shantae she got because of Laurentis' disqualification. She's like, you know, I got a high placement and a win now. I deserve to be here. I deserve to be here. And then Masquerain and Meryl, they're in the bottom. Masquerain's frustrated because, if you remember, last episode she was like, when I'm on teams, I'm dragged down to the bottom. And look what happened. She had another team challenge and she was in the bottom and she refuses to take the blame. She blames Meryl and Meryl's like, well, I'm not going to be like taking the blame for your faults. That's not on me, that's on you. So they get mad at each other. This is a very drama-filled season, y'all. Episode 9, we're doing a music video challenge to RuPaul's Lucky, which is the song they did in season 13. And we're at top 5, which of course means there's going to be a top 3 nomination and an automatic bottom 2. Here's our top 3. Espeon, Vileplume, and Flapple, which I think makes sense. Vileplume won the Rusical, Espeon was the runner-up for the girl group, and Flapple was not in the bottom 2 for the girl groups, like the other 2 that aren't on the screen were. They all do their little music video shoot, which is super fun. They write their verse, they perform. Espeon overwhelmingly wins, 56%, getting her second win in a row, second win of the season. She's ending off the season on a very strong note. And then Vileplume and Flapple still get their high placements. If I was to judge the music video, I think I would have maybe given the win to Vileplume, but I think Espeon winning here still makes sense, and it's a good storyline. And no one else is a good storyline. The besties having to lip sync against each other again, and this time one of them has to go home. They're lip syncing to Lucky Star by Madonna. And I'm gonna give you some untucked tea right now, because they know that one of them has to go home. This is also, once again, Raven versus Jujubee, but one of them has to leave. Pre-lip sync, they make a promise. They're like, we'll both do our best. But when the lip sync starts, Meryl's like, Hop-Up has a better chance at winning the crown than I do. This is my 3rd lip sync. This is their 2nd lip sync. They have 2 wins. I only have 1. And instead of focusing on winning for himself, he uses Helping Hand to uplift Hop-Up. And as a result, he goes home in 5th place, uplifting his bestie. And it's a very cute moment. Are you ready for the finale? It's episode 10, y'all. We're gonna start with the mixed congeniality voting, which I only did 3 candidates for this time, and I'm gonna be so honest, it was hard to even pick 3. I was like, Chansey, Meryl, one of them. And every season I'm like, we should just cut it down to 3. Typically we do 4, and one of them is kind of like a rando pick who gets like no votes. So this time I just did 3, and I still felt like Salamence shouldn't be there, but I like Salamence, and they had the kind of a cute storyline, so I was like, sure. Because you know what this season was? A lot of drama. How the hell am I gonna pick a mixed congeniality when everyone hates each other? You all decided that Chansey, with her nutritious eggs, she was the mixie of the season, which I think makes sense. Meryl started off very, butthurt that he wasn't winning, he had that plot line of being like, I feel like I should have won, and, overcompensating for his own insecurity. Whereas Chansey from day one was like, you get an egg, you get an egg, you all get eggs, look underneath your chairs, there's nutritious eggs for everyone, and never had, a bad moment, so I think it makes sense, but she gets 50%, Meryl gets 44%, so it was very close, and then Salamence shouldn't have been here, he only got 6%, so I should have just, removed him from the running, but congratulations, Mixed Chansey, I'm proud of you, you deserve it. Let's talk about the finalists. Vileplume, Hop-Up, Espeon, and Flapple are our top 4 of the season. You can see on screen their win count and their PPE, but I'm gonna give you a quick review, just so you can remember what was going on with the season. So, we got Miss Vileplume, with 1 win and 2.89 PPE, the worst track record of the season. She won the Rusical in episode 3, but kind of had a low streak with the friend ball, the girl groups, and the Traders Challenge. She lip synced twice and then kind of boosted back up. Espeon is our front runner with 2 wins and 3.67 PPE. She never had to lip sync for her life. She was in the top almost every episode except for 3. She was low for the catch game, low for Traders, and she was safe in the friend ball. She had a long time until she got her wins. It was the final 2 episodes of the season, the Gym Design Challenge and the Lucky music video. And she probably could have gotten more wins if Lurantis wasn't so good at drag, Hop-Up 2 wins, 3.11 PPE. Hop-Up won the Safari Zone Commercials Challenge, and she also won the Gym Design Challenge with Espeon, which is very cute. And she had 2 lip syncs. She was a part of the Double Shantae from the dramatic disqualification of Lurantis, and then she lip synced rematched against her bestie, literally like we just talked about it, in that semi-final episode. Last but not least, Flapple with a 3.56 PPE and 2 wins. He won the catch game in episode 2, and then the friend ball in episode 5 with Lurantis, and was only ever in the bottom once. He placed in the bottom for the Rusical, and then other than that, he had a high save. He was nominated for the top, but was safe in the first episode. He was just safe for the Safari Zones. He was nominated for the top, but was placed safe for the Traders Challenge, and then every other episode he was high for, so he did really well this season as well. All of them were asked to put on a performance that exemplifies their drag, exemplifies who they are as Pokémon, a very personal, finale performance, you know how it is. And I asked you to vote on who you think would do the best, and who is most deserving of having a chance at that top 2 crown. Very obviously, to I think everyone, Espeon and Flapple are our top 2 of the season. Who would have thunk? Who would have thunk? Vileplume, very clearly eliminated, only got 5% of the vote. Hoppip only got 13%, which I was kind of gagged and gooped by because I thought people really liked Hoppip this season. And I think you do. I think you do really like Hoppip, but I think people just knew it wasn't her time because the Espeon and Flapple storyline, Flapple took on Lurantis' role in that storyline, I think, and they definitely had a rivalry going into this finale. Espeon had the most votes, 43% by the way. Flapple had 39%, but did great. The two of them lip synced to Contemporary Love by Rev. I wanted another green light. I couldn't find any other green lights, except for one by Cruella, but I didn't really like it very much, and I didn't think it made a good finale song. So I did Contemporary Love because it's a good song, and I thought it would be a good finale song, and I thought it was a diverse enough song for Espeon and Flapple to both do fine to it, because I forgot to pick a lip sync song for the finale. Again, I've done that a couple times, because it's out of sight, out of mind, you know? So the two of them lip sync, and y'all tried. Y'all really tried me. Y'all really tried me with the 50-50. But lucky for me, right before recording this video, I went and looked to see if it had shifted, and it did. And one of them got 51%, and one of them got 49%, which I knew had been happening. I also let this one sit. Like, I'm recording this, it is Friday the 28th. That poll has been out for 3 days, maybe 4. It has almost 600 votes on it right now, which, thanks. Thank you everyone for voting. It is crazy that 600 of you voted. That's so fun. Hi! But it is time to reveal your winner of Why Is She Green? And that is Espeon! I just did a fanfare with my voice while the actual Pokemon fanfare went over that. You're welcome. Which I just want to say, out of every shiny Pokemon that exemplifies the theme of why is she green? I think Espeon does a great job at that, because why is she green? Why is she so green? But I have a newfound respect for her as the winner, and if you didn't know, I've started shiny hunting on Twitch. So, a shiny hunt for Espeon, the winner of Why Is She Green, will be happening now. But congratulations, Espeon. Flapple, you still did a great job and proved yourself this season, because I didn't see you as a finalist and you proved me wrong. If you want to look at the track records overall, here it is. You can pause the video. We've done a lot of yapping about this season, so I'm not going to waste too much time talking about it, but it was very clear that in the end, Flapple and Espeon were the top 2. Lurantis going home hurt. No one wanted it, except for y'all memeing in the comments. I didn't want it, but I'm not one to cheat the wheel. But that's enough for me. I'm going to give you a little outro and send you off on your merry way. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this season. It was crazy, wacko, kooky. Oh my god, I think this is the most ridiculous season we've had yet. And I apologize for that, but you know, the season is in your hands if you're gonna keep 50-50, I'm gonna make it worse. Once again, if you haven't already, please be sure to leave a like on this video. It really, really helps out the channel. And if you like this type of content, you could subscribe. We do this every month. We also do drag race simulators. We do a lot of stuff that's at the cross-section of video games, anime, and drag, and it's a lot of fun. So I'd love to have you join us. I'll also mention that I do have a free Patreon, which is linked down below in the description, Nina, which you could join. That is where there's lots of sneak peeks on what's coming for the next seasons, like cast reveals, behind the scenes footage of like the wheel spin of doom. That was up there. All sorts of fun stuff. And I'd love to have you join me over there. Next season is All Stars, and if you didn't know, y'all are voting for the cast on this one. So I've sent out a Google form. I've gotten so far over 300 responses, which thank you all so much. That's crazy. And if you haven't voted yet, I'm gonna put the link on screen now, but it's only gonna be valid for like a couple days because we're gonna be getting into the season very quickly because April is just around the corner. Anyways, that is all from me. I have an emo show to go do, and I'm gonna go do some Hatsune Miku, and I'm gonna see you all in another video. All right, friends? Bye-bye.